seems rather unexpected to imagine modern Labrador Retrievers in these challenging conditions of nature. We will evaluate this breed even more by adding to this picture everyday hard work near the sea, an occasional piece of dried meat or fish guts for dinner, and no vet insurance. Here on Newfoundland Island formed far ancestors of the modern Labradors. The story of this breed began around 500 years ago, when St. John's water dogs started to gain popularity as a valuable fisherman helper. And no wonder, this breed, or rather the race, was famous for its incredible water skills. St. John's water dogs pulled nets and long lines, dived for fish that got away from the hook, and even fetched fishermen hats from the icy water. These dogs had a water-resistant, short and thick coat, mostly of black color with white spots, otter-like tail, and webbed paws. But above all, they adored swimming and retrieving things from water. Presumably, St. John's race gene pool consists of dogs brought by English, Irish, Spanish, French, and Portuguese fishermen. Dog trading was kind of a side job for seamen of the times. Quite possible that those brought dogs were mixed with dogs left by aboriginal tribes, so-called Inuit, Innu, and Mi'kmaq dogs. Anyway, the primary source of income at the time was fishing, though there was a constant want in walking water dogs that were obedient, hardworking, intelligent, and hardy enough. So the demands of the time supported this 300+ years breeding program, the result of which was the exceptional St. John dog. I believe when the one has an exceptional set of skills, sooner or later somebody will notice. That is exactly what happened with St. John's dog in the early 1800s, when the second Earl of Malmesbury had seen this dog in its element. Second Earl of Malmesbury was an enthusiastic field sportsman and immediately saw the potential of the dog for hunting and waterfowling in particular. The Malmesbury family took the matter seriously and established a kennel and breeding program at their Heron Court estate. By the way, the family were the first to use the term Labrador dog. The other nobles that imported St. John's dog to England were the Dukes of Buccleuch and Home in Scotland. There was a story associated with the first dogs imported from Newfoundland. On the way home, while swimming across the Atlantic, one of the dogs was sent off the boat to fetch the hat of the crew member. The dog had to swim for 2 hours in the stormy ocean before the sailors could pick him up. Finally, when they got him up, he was extremely tired and happy nonetheless. To make the dog return to senses a bit, they gave him brandy and named him by this popular drink afterwards. The Duke of Buccleuch and his brother Lord John Scott established a kennel on Queensberry Estate. This kennel, by the way, still exists and produces high-quality walking Labradors. By the happy coincidences, this breed was saved from extinction at least twice. Around 1880s, the Buccleuch line of dogs had died out, but the following incident changed the destiny of this kennel. While visiting family relatives, the 6th Duke of Buccleuch and the 12th Duke of Home take part in the waterfowl shoot at Herne, Dorset, which belongs to the Malmesbury family. During the hunting, noblemen find out that their dogs had the common lineage, and the 3rd Earl of Malmesbury presented the 6th Duke of Buccleuch with 2 dogs, Ned and Avon. Eventually, those 2 dogs, it is believed, became the ancestors of all modern Labradors. Another happy chance to the breed was presented in the early 1800s. The thing is, St. John's dogs were imported to England right when the government of their homeland put heavy taxes on all dogs that were not used for herding. They tried to support sheep breeding on the island in this way. Besides, close to the end of the 19th century, British Parliament implemented long quarantines for any dog coming from abroad, as one of the measures to control rabies. Surely we all already understand how really limiting quarantine may be. I suppose if those events were happening a few decades earlier, we may never have had the pleasure to see the Labrador Retriever breed around us. The story of the St. John's dogs is so fascinating that I almost forgot to mention another important fact. Not only did this race form the gene pool of the modern Labrador Retriever, though its influence was the strongest, it is believed that Labradors were perfected on with wavy-coated retrievers, water spaniels, setters, and possibly collies. Alas, the last two dogs of the St. John's race died out on their homeland, Newfoundland, in the 1980s. But happily, their strong descendants find their way through the Atlantics and all over the world. When one looks at Labrador Retriever photos, it's mostly the yellow-colored dogs that we see nowadays, though maybe they are just more photogenic. But it wasn't a scene in the late 18th century. In fact, though the dogs produced yellow and liver-colored puppies at the time, they were most likely killed, because sportsmen preferred black dogs over all others. But, luckily for puppies, fashion changed, and the first yellow dog, named Ben of Hyde, was registered in 1899, and it was a Labrador Retriever that belonged to Major Radcliffe. The first liver-colored pups, or chocolate ones as we call them today, were born in the Beckley Canal in 1892, but they gained popularity not until the 1930s. At the end of the 19th century, retrievers with sometimes quite different characteristics appeared. It took a few years until the types of the dogs became sustained enough to be able to separate them into the breeds we have today. So, in 1903, British Kennel Club registered Labrador Retriever as an independent breed. The popularity of the Labrador Retriever grows, not only as a sportsman helper, but as an excellent family dog, intelligent companion, and friendly to everyone dog. Hence, new prominent kennel clubs were founded at the beginning of the 20th century in the UK. Lord Knutsford's Mountain Labradors and Lady Howe's Banchory Labradors, just to name a few. Labrador Retrievers at the time presented excellent results in the field trials and conformation shows as well. Labradors in the United States appeared around the first decade of the 20th century, but same as in Britain, a few years passed before the standard of the breed were formed. In 1917s, a dog as known then as a retriever became a Labrador Retriever breed, registered by the American Kennel Club. In the post-war times, due to the different hunting traditions, styles and conditions between the US and Britain, few types of Labrador Retriever were formed. Britain hunting traditions belonged to noble families for centuries, and Labradors mostly participated in upland game hunting. The British style of hunting requires the dog to be quiet and controlled, and their role is reduced for tracking and retrieving the game. In the US and Canada, hunting was always a much more accessible pursuit. Moreover, more diversity in nature, climate, and game species demanded a new level of skills and energy from the dogs. And when there is a demand, there is a supply. American breeders developed lines well adjusted for all sorts of upland and waterfowl hunting. As a result, we've got somewhat different types of walking Labrador Retrievers nowadays. Quiet and calm British Labs and American Labradors with a higher drive and energy level. Those types somewhat differ in their looks too. British types are more on the stout side, with shorter legs and more prominent forehead stop, while American Labs are slimmer with longer legs and muzzles. Nevertheless, both types may be seen in the US or Britain, therefore their names are somewhat conditional. Labrador Retrievers are not only excellent dogs for hunting, they are also successful as guide dogs, water rescue dogs, drug sniffers, therapy dogs, military dogs, detection dogs, and simply as adorable home pets and playmates for kids. I have no doubt that the popularity of the Labrador Retrievers will only increase with time as it did last few centuries. If you'd like to know more about dog breeds history, you may check out these videos. Thank you for watching and supporting my channel. I really appreciate it, guys. Cheers!